Hey, and welcome back to our channel. This is Bohol Duo. This here is going to be a follow-up that I did on the ER video. I said if I had additional tests done on the heart, I would make a follow-up video. So if you want to know what costs and what tests we had done, stick around. All right. So after the ER visit, I had to do a follow-up with the cardiologist, which we went and seen. And she looked at all the results, the EKG, the blood work, the X-ray, and she said wasn't no sign of a heart attack or anything, but since I was having a shortness of breath, maybe we should run an additional test just to play it safe. So she gave me an order to do a treadmill stress echogram and told me to go down the hall to the cardiologist unit and schedule to have the test done. So we left her office. Time we got down to the cardiology unit, the office was already closed for the day. So we had to go home and come back the next morning. So we told them what we wanted. The doctor had ordered, what tests we wanted to have done. So they said, okay, they will give us a call back and let us know when it's scheduled. So we got home and we waited. They called later that afternoon and told me when to come back in a couple of days in the morning and gave us all the instructions what to do. So when we showed up that day, we brought the doctor's order. They looked at it. They were a little confused. They said they thought we wanted a different type of test than what we wanted because they called the doctor to verify. So they called, she verified it. They came out and told us that they couldn't run the test that day, that the doctor that oversaw the test and that was out of town and they would have to reschedule it. So we waited for them to call and reschedule it. And the day they scheduled it, we followed all the stuff, came back. It was done at Ace Medical Center in Tagbilaran, which is where my heart doctor is located also. So that morning we showed up, got there, we checked in. They checked all my vital signs and that, and everything looked good. So they said, okay, we can do the test. So we said, wait for the nurse to come out and get you. So I went over in the waiting area and probably waited about 15 minutes for the nurse to come out. So they came out and got me. They took me back into the little waiting area or the room with the separated by the curtains, kind of like a emergency room type thing. They had all the equipment and everything in there. So she turned around and said I had to prep me to get ready for the test. So they gave me a gown to put on, like a hospital gown. So I put that on. And when I was done, they came back. So she explained the test a little. If you never had an echocardiogram done, it's kind of like a ultrasound, only for your heart. They check all your different angles around your chest, on your side, so they can get all angles of the heart. They take pictures and listen to it and see how the heart valves and all that are doing. So we got started on that test. The nurse, she was very professional. It was a modern, nice, clean facility that we was in. So she proceeded to do the test, and I followed her instructions. Once she got done, tell me to move to this angle so that she could get all the different pictures taken. So she was very professional and easy to understand. She spoke English, which was good. So there wasn't no problem with the communications during the thing. And this test probably took, I'm going to guess, somewhere in the neighborhood of 20, 25 minutes maybe. They hook you up with like a EKG leads and that so they can listen to your heart and monitor it while they're taking all the photos. So we finished that and got cleaned up a little bit, and she told me to go over into the room next to it, which was where the treadmill was. and told me to wait over there, and they would be in shortly to do the next part of the test. So also the attending doctor would be overseeing it in case while on the treadmill something happened, I collapsed or had a heart attack or something. There would be a doctor on right there in the room with you. So they hooked up all my leads like the EKG. You have a little portable EKG unit that you put on. They connect all your leads to your neck, your chest, and your arms and all that so they can monitor your heart rate. Once they got all that done and set up, said they were just waiting for the doctor. So we sat around and probably waited for another 15 minutes or so. And the doctor came in. She explained how the test was going to go, what was involved in it, and that very professional, well-spoken, explained it to where I understood everything. There was no issue on my end that I understood. She made perfectly clear that I understood. So there was the doctor and two nurses in the room with me at this time. So they told me to get up and they'd grab the lead connection in that. And I got on the treadmill. Then they kind of hung the box there out of the way so that I would be able to do the test freely and be able to walk in that on the treadmill. So the doctor explained what they do is if you never had a stress treadmill done, they start in 3 minutes increments. So they start out on a real slow walk. And after 3 minutes, they pick up the pace a little bit and they also incline it a little bit. So this goes on like every 3 minutes. So I guess I made it to about the 6th level, I think it was. It was in a jogging part of it, so kind of like a steady jog. I got to that part, but I didn't make it through that part. I started getting winded, and plus my knee started to ache, so I told them I needed to stop. So at that point, they stopped it. She asked, was I having any type of chest pain or anything? I explained to her no, that I was still fine, just that I was a little winded and my knee was aching. So they said, okay, they needed me to lay down on the bed because they do the echogram again. They check your heart while you're under stress and your heart rate is up and that to see if there was any change. So they monitor that. She took all her readings. That probably didn't take real long, maybe like 10 minutes. So they got through with that and they told me to get cleaned up. So they took all the electrical pad, the leads and that off of my body and that while they was over there looking at the test and that. The doctor told me that she would study the test more in her office later and that I could come back in a couple of days and pick up the test results. So we left, came back to the reception area there in the cardiologist unit, and we picked up the result test and had a follow up with the doctor, the cardiologist, which is a couple of days later. So we did our follow up with her. She looked at the echogram and that and explained it, said all the valves and everything on the echogram part of it looked good. And then we was looking at the stress test side of it. It all looked kind of good, but they listed it that it was abnormal during the stress test. And maybe because I didn't complete that level, not really sure. So she said she was a little concerned about that. And she wanted to feel safer. She said she would prefer that I have an angiogram done. That way could make sure and check to see if there's any blockage in my heart. So we had to turn around. I was down on 2 floors down and there, so we had to go schedule that to have that done. But this is that one I'll do a follow-up on to let you know how that was. But this one here, so to go to the ACE Medical Center cardiology unit and have the treadmill stress echogram done, the total cost of that was 8,502 pesos, which is roughly around 147 US dollars at the time we had it done, depending on the fluctuating of the dollar. Now, I don't know. For me, that seemed really cheap. I'm sure it would be a whole lot more in the US where I'm from. I haven't had it done there, but if you live in the US and never had stress echocardiogram done, let me know what your experience was and what your cost was there. Or if you're here in the Philippines, let me know how your experience was in the cost, or if you're in another country. Curious to see how other people did and what their experience was and what their cost was. So I'll do another follow-up after the angiogram to let you know another test and what the cost was in that. So I'll catch you in the next one. See you later.